Today on 100% Chance of Wine, we begin in Ellensburg. Located at the entrance to the Yakima River Canyon, Ellensburg Canyon Winery and Vineyards is in a unique corner of the Columbia AVA. We sat down with owner and winemaker Gary Cox to discuss what led him to choose this spot in 1998 and how the terroir of the Yakima River Canyon helps produce his award-winning wines.
So excited to be here because this is such a different area that we're not used to. Red Mountain, of course, we all know about that, and I'm excited to talk more about the wines that you make here. I want to go first to your background.
When I was getting my master's degree, we were a part of the original wine project with Dr. Clore. He would grow the grapes down in Prosser, bring them back up to Pullman. Charles Nagel would make the wine, and as grad students we would give it the thumbs up or thumbs down on Friday afternoon tastings, and then the rest is history. The Washington wine industry is now the second largest in the U.S., only behind California, but quality-wise, bar none, it's the best in the world.
What made you choose Ellensburg for your winery?
So it's got everything, and I kept thinking we're part of the Columbia Valley AVA, even though the Missoula floods had nothing to do with this particular area. But it's warm enough that you can grow quality grapes, not all grapes, because we don't get enough growing degree days. But for the most part, we can grow Riesling, Cabernet Franc, some Chardonnay, a little bit of Malbec, and then I blend from other areas within the Columbia Valley AVA to make my red blend and things like that. Otherwise, all our wines are estate grown.
For people that don't know the difference between, say, Red Mountain AVA and where you grow your grapes, explain to me the flavor profiles and the different wines that you make here versus more of a warmer, hotter climate.
It's all about heat units, so we can ripen off Riesling grapes like that, but when you get into Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot and Syrah, the Tempranillo, those take a lot more heat than we can get here, which is why you go down to Red Mountain AVA. Also, we're at a higher elevation. It's all about the water. All of our water is coming out of the Cascades through the Kittitas Reclamation District. So we get the first take on the Yakima River water, and it's virtually pure as can be. And that helps flavor the grapes as well. The other interesting thing about this area is that about 16 to 20% of our soil profile is volcanic ash from Mount Rainier, Mount Adams, Mount St. Helens most recently. When everybody was hunkered down in their cubby holes when Mount St. Helens erupted, I went out and collected some of that ash, actually had it analyzed. It is jam-packed full of micronutrients, which is literally manna from the heavens, and gives a very unique flavor profile.
What do you want to say to somebody who's thinking about stopping here to kind of say, come visit me in Ellensburg Canyon Winery tasting room?
Well, I would say we've got a beautiful picnic spot out there. Come summertime, the weather is just perfect. The Yakima River blue ribbon trout fishing, float the river, you can hike the canyon. It's really quite beautiful, and people don't realize that. They drive through here and blink and think it's just a desert. But there's so much more, especially with the riparian habitat that the river provides.
Right.
It's really the lifeline of this ecosystem.
Some of the other projects that you said you have going on here, tell me more about those.
The other one is our cider project.
Yes.
We use Honeycrisp Gala and Newtown Pippins, and then we ferment it with a champagne yeast, so we make what's called Honey Gal cider. And it's got a little bit of tartness. Honeycrisp Gala are sweet apples. The Newtown Pippins bring in some tart flavors. And then the fermentation with the champagne yeast puts bubbles in there, so it literally dances on your tongue.
Oh. And just recently too, the Cosmic Crisp apple.
Yes, Wazoo released its new variety called Cosmic Crisp apples, and when they do that, they have a lottery for who gets the apples first. So we won the lottery, got a front page story in the Yakima Herald, and we will be making our first batch of Cosmic Crisp apple cider next fall. We're also making called Crimson Delight, which uses what's called the Wa2 apple. That'll be another cider variety that we're going to release probably this fall.
Anything else that you want to add about the winery or you're doing here
Yeah,
you can think of?
come taste our award-winning wines. Bring your picnic lunch, sit out there. You can watch the grapes grow. If you drink enough wine, you can actually talk to them, and they'll talk back.
Owen Rowe produced their first vintage in the Willamette Valley in 1999 and has since planted vineyards and opened a tasting room near Wapato. Co-owner David O'Reilly tells us about the philosophy of Owen Rowe Winery and his dream for the future of Yakima Valley wines.
I want to start with how you guys ended up here in Wapato, because I know you own another winery that's down in the Willamette Valley. What
Yes.
made you choose this area, particularly for a winery?
You know, many years ago, I was making wine in Oregon, and a friend of mine came to me and he said, I know you really love Oregon Pinot Noir. Have you considered Eastern Washington? And I worked with Cabernet Franc. And in 2000, when I was tasting that wine out of barrel, I thought it was the greatest red wine I'd ever had in my life. And from that moment on, I started looking in this area for, you know, the potential of a vineyard. I believe the vineyards and the wines coming from this area are some of the finest in the world.
And you, like you said, it's a different grape than what you produce down in the Willamette Valley.
Totally different.
Because it's a cooler climate.
That's right. In the Willamette, it's all about Pinot Noir, which is a great grape, and I love it. I love having that, you know, kind of that dual personality. In Oregon, I'm this grape, but up here, I'm totally different. And, you know, we chose to make our family home here so we can be on the kind of the cutting edge, because, you know, we're still a relatively young growing area. And I think what makes this area really, you know, kind of exciting is that, you know, you get to define that personality as a region. And so that's what we've done. We've looked at some of the red blends, some of the grapes made from Syrah and Grenache, and try to pinpoint the kind of the best growing region for those specific grape varieties. And because it hasn't been heavily planted, you get to make that, you know, your stamp and your personality.
So you have Cab Franc, that out in the vineyard. How many
Yes.
acres are out there right now?
So right now we have about 32 acres on this site, and the site itself is about 106 acres. We still farm cherries, and then the rest of the land is very, very steep and rocky, and so that just goes to the wildlife.
Anything else besides Cab Franc that you
Yeah,
have
we
out there?
do. We have, you know, Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, along with the Cabernet Franc and a little bit of Malbec. So that rounds out the Bordeaux portion of our plantings, and then we also have Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre as well. So just those. So one part of the vineyard is really stony. We plant the Rhone grape varieties. So if anyone has ever been to Châteauneuf-du-Pape, it's famous for those little cobblestones, and that's what we have up here, and that's what makes this particular area in Rattlesnake Hills really unique, because we have these alluvial deposits. And so if you ever have a chance to come out to the vineyard and see these, they're really, it's old riverbed and quite unique, because, you know, we expect to see a lot of volcanic soils, which we have in spades, but these little rocks devigor these vigorous grape varieties and give a great concentration and texture to the Rhone. And then we have the portion of the vineyard that is planted to the Bordeaux varieties is grown on the volcanic soils, and then they have kind of a really unique minerality and texture to them as well.
I want to switch to more of kind of what's happening with the fires and stuff. Are you concerned with, I know it's fire season, this happens, you know, every single year, but just how close you guys are to where a lot of the fires end up developing? I mean,
well, you know, it's a really great question, because last year, 2017 vintage, my entire vineyard was surrounded by a fire. We lost 2 rows. It came within, 20 feet of our house. And what the smoke can do is, so it's, usually it's not about the fire destroying the vineyard. Usually it's the smoke taint.
yeah.
And it can, you know, like a barbecue, you can smell it on your clothes. And it actually did, we noticed that on our grapes, it exhibited a little bit of a smoke taint, and so it actually gave a little kind of a smoky note. And, you know, like a barbecue, that can in the right sort of proportion, it can be okay. If it's too much, it can dominate the flavors. But we're always nervous about it. You know, we make sure that now when we farm, there's a good fire break between us and the brush. But I mean, it's been an ongoing issue for years now, and we just have to make sure that we, you know, keep the brush down, and we make sure firefighters are treated to an extra glass of wine when they come here.
What do you hope to, I know you said it's a very young area, looking ahead to the future. Is there anything you want to experiment with, or anything else that you want to hope to accomplish in this area?
Oh, definitely. And I think, you know, I think a lot of maybe the challenge of owning a business is also, you know, you can have these dreams and aspirations and planting, you know, in my case, you know, wine grapes, and then you still have to get out and market it. And so my dream is just to make that expression of Yakima Valley known around the world. And so we do travel around the country and internationally to, you know, bring greater awareness of the wines of Yakima Valley, and that is my dream. 20 years ago, when I was pouring in New York, people, well, where is Yakima? And you know, there's still this, you know, confusion that, you know, that Washington wines might be from the west side, from Seattle, and that's less of an issue now. People are aware. We've made a statement, and we still just need to go out there and, you know, as we have more of a critical mass of wineries come into Yakima Valley, you're going to see that awareness, you know, being known around the world. That's my dream.
The Vineyard and Winery Technology Program at Yakima Valley Community College is known as the Teaching Winery. Students in the program get hands-on experience in the vineyards, in the lab, and have won their fair share of wine competitions.
The program is meant to train folks to step out in the industry and be very hands-on. And so we've got everything from berry to bottle that you'll be able to experience. And then certainly you step into the laboratory, and there's where the science part of winemaking comes in. There's certainly the artistic element, which engages a lot of people, but there's a core science that we want to teach as well. And then ultimately delivering it to the bottle. And so we've got our bottling equipment so that then you've got something very tangible to walk away with. It's a fun element of our program is when you exit, you know, it's pretty nice to showcase a bottle of wine as your craft.
Our instructors do a really good job of breaking everything down, making you really have to study those things, and then once you get to this second year and we start processing and doing stuff like that, you feel a lot more capable of doing things.
Having the teachers allow us to make, you know, calculated mistakes kind of allows you to become the winemaker. So I don't know if a lot of other programs around here do that.
We really allow them to help guide the direction. So we do what we call the buoy effect. We try to keep you in the buoys, and then where we go from there is really up to the student and the class. So each year we get new passions, new interests, and they help guide the direction of what those wine styles are going to be. For example, this year the class was really interested in doing a extended maceration where the grapes are in contact with the skins for a long period of time. So we're going to make that style of wine.
One of the biggest things I've learned in this program is just the amount of enthusiasm, the amount of appreciation that people really have for our work.
You know, every time I tell people that I'm doing the YVC program, the first thing they say is they talk about the amazing wines that we make. And you know, to be completely honest, I didn't know that we're producing such high quality wines until we really talked about the amount of medals we were winning in the competitions.
When you're passionate, usually you're going to be successful. And competing in these competitions is just a way to kind of demonstrate that. And they're judged against other commercial producers in the state. We've produced fewer than 100 wines and have, I think, 115 different awards that we've received. So we're getting gold medals and good recognition. And I think it goes back to the students. It's all about their passion, their craft, and what they're able to do.
Down the road, not sure yet. Definitely one day have my own winery, grow my own grapes, make my own wines, a big dream. You know, I've done assignments in the past for like vineyard names, so I have a couple up my sleeve, but I'm gonna keep that to myself right now.
I get asked all the time, why do you keep teaching? You know, why don't you go back into the industry? It's like every new year we have a brand new set of winemakers, and I learn something from them because they bring different experiences and interests, and so it's hard to lose passion when you've got brand new winemakers that are carrying a real sense of energy.
YVCC also provides space to startups as sort of a winery incubator. Fortuity Cellars has been in this space for about 2 years and is preparing to move out to a permanent location south of Yakima. Husband and wife co-owners Lee and Emily explain about the fortuitous events that led them to start their own winery. What's the meaning behind the name Fortuity? Why did you come up with it?
Well, fortuity to us means kind of those chance moments in your life that are come in at different times and present these amazing opportunities that can change your life in really amazing ways. And we have a number of those, chance moments is what we call it. And how we met was one of those. Okay. And so we wanted something that was meaningful and something that would resonate with people too, and that they could think back on their fortuitous moments in their lives.
Right. And you're a newer winery. Why did you guys decide to start up a winery?
We had a bunch of ideas. Emily's background is communications and PR, and mine's startup businesses, mostly in tech. Mm-hmm. And so we went on a weekend away, and I had a spreadsheet because I'm geeky, and so we went through the list and all the tech ideas. Emily mostly yawned, and then we had a bunch of experiential ideas like experiential kind of wine blending classes and wine bars, and at one point Emily just said, "Why don't we just make wine?" So that's kind of how it started.
Unfortunately, we had a good friend of ours, a longtime friend of the family, that is a winemaker, and he wanted to come up and have a chance here in Washington State to learn about making Washington wine. Okay. And so he helped us get started.
Where did he originally come from?
Johnny came from Oregon. He went to Oregon State for fermentation science, and he's made wine in Australia and California, and he actually was born in Yakima, so it was kind of a homecoming in a way. Right. So we wanted to get a chance to come up here and try his hand in Washington wine.
When sitting down and coming up with the overall concept, what was your goal that you wanted people to take away from Fortuity Cellars?
We, being in the Yakima Valley, we wanted people to experience the valley, and so finding the perfect piece of property was key to us, and we wanted people just to come out and be outdoors and experience it, and then experience the different parts of the valley. So we have some cool programs where we get our grapes from across the entire valley, and so we can showcase the different, the terroir across the valley.
So it's just not one vineyard. You guys are sourcing from multiple.
No, that's one of the things that we really love about what we're doing is it gives us an opportunity to work with growers across the valley, and they're also all family owned and smaller. So it's been really fun to be able to work with them, showcase their grapes in our wine, and take it beyond the valley. We have a lot of club members and in the Seattle area and Portland area, and so it's our opportunity to promote the Yakima Valley. I grew up in Yakima, and it's kind of been fun for me to be able to kind of give back in whatever small way I can.
Right. And what are some of the wines that you guys have that you're making right now?
So we've got, 10 labels now. It's we've got a Viognier. We've got new this year. We have a Sauvignon Blanc that's dynamite right now. We have a Rosé, a Cinsault, which has got some lovely kind of strawberry and cherry notes to it. We have a Chardonnay. A traditional kind of French style Chardonnay with Merlot and Syrah and Malbec
and Merlot.
Oh, wow. So really showcasing
awesome
this area and what it can do as far as making wine.
And a couple of really cool blends, red blends, that everybody is in love with right now.
Interesting. What are those red blends?
Well, we have two blends. One is kind of more of a traditional Bordeaux blend, so it's Malbec, Merlot, and Cab. And then the one that's been really fun is we now call it the 50-50, which kind of fits with chance. The 50-50 is Syrah and Malbec. So you're taking the Syrah that's a Rhone varietal and the Malbec that's Bordeaux and kind of blending them together. So the 50-50 chance it's going to be a nice blend, and so far it has been.
Right. Any other favorites or wines that you're going to be working with that you're excited about in the future?
Cab project.
Yeah. We have a very cool project. For now, we're calling it the Cab Project.
Okay.
And we're getting
very explanatory.
Yeah. So we're getting Cabernet Sauvignon from 3 different sites. So we're getting it from Red Mountain, Heart of the Hill Vineyard, from Jabrul, and which is central, and then from Red Willow. So
Okay.
3 different kind of dramatically different sites, all very unique. And so our ability to kind of showcase the uniqueness and the vastness of the valley is it's a lot of fun, and the wines are already fantastic. It's a lot of fun.
And you guys are lucky enough to have where you're at located right now with all of your stuff to kind of help to get you going. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's an incubator, a wine incubator within the Yakima Valley College in Grandview. And just like any incubator, like a chicken incubator, you take the chick, and the idea is to get it, ready to go out into the real world. That's basically this. We came up with the idea, but we didn't have the equipment. I mean, a press, a destemmer, a forklift, all those things that cost, a lot of money and take a lot of cash to get going, as well as like barrels and grapes. So just really gave us a jump start on getting into the market so that we could focus on getting wine to people so we could start to get that cash flow going.
Right.
And we bottled in March of 2017. We just did our second bottling last month. We sell throughout farmers markets and tasting room here at Grandview. But there will become a time very soon where we'll be moving on and going into the real world. And like Lee was mentioning, we have this beautiful property just outside of Yakima that will then have our permanent home.
Yeah, tell me more about this new facility and what people can expect.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of property. Previously it was used for weddings and events, and so it's surrounded by orchards. Very cool, picturesque kind of place. It's got some beautiful gardens and patio spaces. And a big lawn in the back, and so the winery will be in the back, and people can explore the property and
Play games, cornhole,
Yeah.
all the kind of stuff. Let kids run around, have food trucks, things like that.
What was the overall vision behind this? What were you hoping for when designing this property?
Well, we wanted again to kind of give people the experience in the valley, and so here you are in a beautiful piece of property, gorgeous gardens, surrounded by orchards and looking out over the Rattlesnake Hills. And so for us, that's what we wanted people to have, and a place where you could just come and hang with your friends and enjoy beautiful wine too. So it's kind of a simple vision, but we looked at a lot of pieces of property, and nothing was feeling right. And then when this came up, it was kind of a fortuitous moment too. I just happened to look on Zillow, of all places, and it popped up, and we haven't looked back ever since we saw it. We saw the vision, and we've been going forward since then.
Would you say the hard work has paid off?
Oh, absolutely. One of our values as a company is grit, so we have to have that perseverance. We have to be scrappy, and I feel like Lee's experience with startup tech has really helped us just move through, and we get a lot of no's as a startup, and just helped us kind of move through. But it's been a lot of hard work, and our whole team has worked to put heart and soul into this. So
And the Rising Star Award.
Yeah.
That you guys were just named that. Tell me more about that award.
It's a pretty cool award. So again, for us, we thought about starting this as a business, and so getting a business-related award is it feels great. It provides credibility and validation, and they liked our attack on starting this as a business, how we approached it, how we collected data, and our innovative marketing. So, so it's pretty fantastic. But there's thousands of people that apply for this thing, and they selected us, and we're still surprised that they selected us, but we feel very honored. And it's a very cool community. We met a lot of other kind of startup businesses, and a lot of folks. Before we were having drinks with a gentleman, and we were like, "So how long have you been doing this?" He's like, 23 years. We're like, "Oh, all right, you've been doing this a minute." So to be surrounded by people that have been very successful is pretty awesome too. For us, it's, as Emily said, that it requires patience and persistence, but also partnerships. In small business, there's a lot of partnerships.
Right.
So.
And that's where we feel like we've been really fortunate. Like, we look across all the businesses that we work at, and they're primarily based here in the Yakima Valley, and we couldn't do it without our growers, our accountant, our insurance, our builder, our shipper, our label designer, our label printer. I mean, all of these things that really helped us get off the ground, and the value of a small business in this community is something that we feel
Everyone's
we
coming
feel
together.
yeah
Yeah, absolutely.